to get that started. So we'll be sending that to you later today, and it will be posted on our website at our new Learn with Life After Wake platform, which we hope you will check out as well. So you all realize you are all muted and your videos are turned off. I'm going to be monitoring the chat box. So please put any issues there that you may be having, and we probably aren't going to have time for Q&A at the end, but any questions that you may have, put in the chat box, and we will absolutely answer those in the follow-up message that we send to you after the fact. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sharon to take it away.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Allison and Lauren and Megan, for inviting me to present. As Allison said, I'm Sharon Vogler. My slides won't. Allison, can you forward the slides? I'm Sharon Vogler. I'm the Senior Associate Director of Market Readiness and Employment at Wake Forest School of Business. I've spent my entire career here at Wake Forest in the business school, where I've had amazing opportunities to work across all programs, from undergrads to MBAs. I work with students getting their master's in all of our pre-experience programs like accounting and management. And most recently, my focus has been working with students getting their master's in business analytics. I have a bachelor's degree.
Try using your, use your mouse.
There we go.
There you go.
Got it. I have a Bachelor of Science degree in art with a minor in marketing from Appalachian State University. I'm a firm believer that you can be anything that you want to be as long as you pay very close attention to and lean into your strengths. Today I will spend some time talking through strategic ways to approach a job search. So many times I hear from students and clients that they apply to a lot of jobs and never hear anything back, even when they are perfectly qualified. I'm here to tell you that strategy seldomly works. Clicking apply, crossing your fingers, and hoping somebody sees it is not a good strategy. Your application goes directly into a black hole of infinity to nothingville, leaving you feeling useless and unmotivated. I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes showing you how to put together a strategic plan that will yield results and hopefully keep you motivated. Now, this takes time. Research shows that a focused job search will take 1 month for every $10,000 you want to make annually, and that's in a healthy economy. It's a full-time grind. You've got to stay focused and be creative, but above all else, you've got to be resilient. So let's get to it. Today we will focus on 4 areas: job search project planning, skill gap analysis, marketing materials, and finally, networking. As you approach this critical piece of your job search, it's important to create a plan. Many of you have already had the opportunity to manage large and small-scale projects. It's a good idea to think of your job search as one of these projects. Use any system that you're the most comfortable with. We're going to talk about the power of to-do lists. We're going to spend some time on how to source opportunities and how to fill your pipeline full of leads. And finally, I'm going to leave you with some tips on how to stay focused and organized. The first phase of any job search is discovery or research. You really need to ask yourself some important questions, like what am I hoping to accomplish? What does my ideal next step look like? Do I want to make more money? Do I want more autonomy or flexibility? Do I want to make a move? What am I good at? What are my strengths, and where does my experience best fit future opportunities? You'll also really need to think about who's hiring. If your goal right now is to be an event planner for a large-scale in-person national conference, I would say you might want to shift your focus to something a little different. Where are the current opportunities? Given the current climate, if you have some basic data analytical skills, Amazon Logistics or Instacart might be in need of your talents. Now, research shows that if you write something down, you are 42% more likely to accomplishment. That number goes up exponentially if you share your goals with someone else. I encourage my clients to use A good old-fashioned Excel spreadsheet. I'll share this example with you after the webinar. You'll want to customize it to what works for you. This example focuses on 4 location categories represented by these tabs below. Your search may be narrowed by location, like this case, or if you're locked into a location and you don't want to move, you could differentiate your search by industry or sector. For an example, if you're in HR and know you will only accept a job in the Boston area, you could separate your spreadsheet into industries such as nonprofit, financial services, advertising, or education. Now, this is an expansive worksheet which allows you to keep up with your research, connections, and journal your applications. Again, customize it to what's most effective for you. Now, I love a to-do list. I get a lot of personal satisfaction from making lists and marking things off the list. Sometimes I even love to use special markers to color code and prioritize the things that I need to accomplish. I also really like to use the sticky note function on my laptop. Every day when I fire it up, the sticky note appears and shows me exactly what I need to accomplish. Remember that tip that if you write something down, you're more likely to do it. It's important to also treat your job search like a sales strategy. Any good sales strategy uses the sales funnel. The top of the funnel is wide, and you need to be constantly filling the funnel with opportunities and leads. As you go through the process and research, submit applications, and go through the interviewing process, things will fall out of the funnel. My main point here is not to rest on your laurels or put all your eggs in one basket. Constantly fill the funnel until you start your new job. Next, I've included some sourcing websites. My favorites are Indeed, LinkedIn, and Glassdoor. There's also a hidden job market where you can find opportunities that aren't advertised, like working with staffing agencies or third-party recruiting firms. Another place to find hidden jobs are Chamber of Commerce websites. Many chamber sites have links to jobs, and it's free to their members. LinkedIn is a rich site, and if you are connected to recruiters, like I am, they will post jobs. They'll post jobs on their profile for free. I like to share these opportunities with my LinkedIn audience. If we are connected and you look at your daily feed, you will see the jobs that I share. Staying organized and motivated is much harder for some than it is for others. I strongly believe in having an accountability partner. It could be your parent, spouse, significant other, it could be a friend, a career coach, or a mentor. If you share your goals with someone else, you're more likely to accomplish it. Give yourself small goals and celebrate those small victories. For an example, today I will reach out to 2 Wake Forest alums in Boston that work for Wayfair, or I'm going to register for next week's Work Hacks Wednesday webinar with Tiffany Tate. Celebrate these small victories. Back in my sales days, I had a daily goal to follow up with 10 prospects via phone and email. Once I accomplished this goal, I treated myself to an ice-cold Diet Coke in a can. The strategy or reward system kept me focused and results-driven. One is waiting for me in my refrigerator once I finish this webinar. As you source job opportunities and fill your sales funnel, you'll read hundreds of job descriptions. As you read them, I encourage you to follow the 80-20 rule. Ask yourself, am I 80% qualified for this job? There are some kickouts, so pay close attention to what is required versus what is preferred. If 5 years of Python coding experience is required and you have none, I wouldn't apply for that job. Go by a 3-year spread. Using the same example, if a job description says 5 years of Python coding experience is required and you only have 2, should you apply? And I say yes. This leads me to the next phase in a solid job search strategy, which is doing a skill gap analysis. If you consistently keep seeing requirements in a job description for advanced Excel skills and you don't have any, or if you have them and they're not on your resume, it could be a kick out. Let's talk a minute about the difference between soft skills versus hard skills. Indeed has a great article on this topic that I've referenced here. Hard skills are technical skills like Excel, Adobe Creative Suite, or Python coding. These are a little easier to obtain by taking a class or getting a certification. Soft skills are what I like to call power skills. These are a little bit more intangible. These are qualities or attributes almost every employer needs. We've all seen them. Collaborative, strong written and communication skills, ability to thrive in ambiguity, and analytical. Do you have these skills? Can you back them up with a solid example if asked during an interview? Does your resume, cover letter, and LinkedIn profile tell the same story? Some helpful resources for you to get to know your soft skills or your strengths a little better are assessments like DISC and Myers-Briggs and StrengthsFinder. Now, these assessments are not free and they can kind of be a little costly. onet.org is a great resource that not only has open jobs, there's also a strengths assessment that you can take for free. Now is the time to improve your portfolio of skills. If you are furloughed or you've been laid off, you should attack this head on. LinkedIn Learning and Udemy are two of my favorites. And I just looked at LinkedIn before this webinar and saw that Udemy is offering free online classes during the current COVID-19 crisis. If you're employed, check out your firm's online learning professional development resources. They're a benefit that shouldn't be a cost to you. For you Wake Forest employees on this call, our Professional Development Center is a fantastic resource, and they have great classes that you can take, which will improve both soft and hard skills. As you put together a strategic job search, keep in mind that you're selling yourself, and any good sales effort needs a good marketing campaign. Effective marketing campaigns need to be consistent in brand, imagery, mission, and message. Let's use McDonald's for an example. A McDonald's cheeseburger tastes the exact same in Winston-Salem as it does in Boston, Massachusetts. Their tagline is the same in every market. I'm loving it. Their colors, their fonts, everything is consistent and their message is clear. In order to present yourself or advertise yourself, you will need powerful, consistent marketing materials. Your marketing materials consist of your resume, cover letter, your LinkedIn presence, and other social media. And yes, your Instagram and TikTok and Pinterest pages are just as important as your LinkedIn profile. Just Google yourself. It's kind of fun. Put your name in the Google search bar in quotation marks. What comes up? Employers are doing this. Recruiters are using it as a vetting tool. You really want to take inventory in your social media presence and clean up anything that might tell a different story than you want to convey. Other blind spots seekers don't think about is your email address, your email signature line, and your voicemail. For an example, if your email address is hotcougarmama@gmail.com and your voicemail message has "she's a bad mamma jamma" playing in the background, it's going to turn off recruiters and hiring managers. A lot of preliminary work will be spent on your resume. It needs to be targeted and slightly tweaked for every job you apply to. A rule of thumb to think about is that you should use one page for every 10 years of work experience you have post-undergraduate graduation. I advise all my clients to not go over 2 pages. You get 5 seconds to entice the reader to actually read your resume, so you need to come out of the gate strong. So let's break it down. The first section is your contact information. Many resumes are getting away from including a physical address. Why? Because in the digital world we live in, no one is mailing anything through the United States Post Office in regards to job search and onboarding. It's almost 100% online. If you're living in Boston, you want to continue to work in Boston, I say include your Boston address. This tells the reader, I don't have to pay relocation expenses. Now, if you live in Boston and you only want to work in Austin, Texas, you might want to leave your Boston address off to avoid this bias. If you live in Boston and want to move back to Winston-Salem, where you're from, and your parents have a home in Winston-Salem, it might be a good idea to use their Winston-Salem address when applying to jobs in that area. I also like to see personalized LinkedIn URLs on resumes. I'll show you how to get to this personalized URL on a later slide. The header or tagline is a new trend in resume design, and it's a great way to target this document to specific jobs. Tell the reader from the beginning what they need to know. Remember that 5-second rule. In this example, I've used keywords straight from the job description that best describes who I am and what I can offer their firm. Make sure you change it every time you apply to a new job. The skills section should focus on hard or technical skills. Now, Alice and I have a healthy debate on whether Microsoft Word is a special skill and if it should be included on a resume. If the job description lists it as a required or preferred skill, you need to make sure it's on your resume. It's also a good idea to list your proficiency levels or required technical skills like I have on this template. Include any languages that you are fluent in. The key word here is fluent, not basic or conversational. Professional experience is critical. You should list your experience in chronological order with the most recent experience first. Each bullet should not be any longer than 2 lines. They should not be, you really don't need a comprehensive list of every duty and every bit of responsibilities that you have or had. Instead, they should be a list of results-driven accomplishments. As you create the content for these bullets, when you write them, think of it in these terms. What did I do? Who did I do it for? And what was the result, with as much supporting data as you can. These bullets should start with a power past tense action verb, even if you're still doing this work. Remember, it's what you've accomplished rather than what you did. Resumes really shouldn't be word vomit. Less is more. It's okay to leave things off if the experience is not relevant. Your summer lifetime job at the community pool when you're in high school may have been needed to get you your first job or internship, but it's not as important if you have more relevant experience. So be ready to let some of these things go. Leadership and community involvement is the most flexible section. You can collapse or combine this section to make room. Depending on where you are in your career, does anybody really care about your Project Pumpkin Chair experience at Wake, especially if you led your current firm's United Way campaign and raised $100,000 putting together fundraising events? We get this question a lot about education. It should move to the bottom of your resume unless you are a recent college grad or getting ready to graduate. For our older audience, I suggest leaving off the year you graduated altogether to avoid ageism and bias. Only include your GPA if it's a requirement listed on the job description and if you meet or exceed the requirement. Additional achievements is another flexible section. You can choose to omit it if you do and you have certifications, you can include them in the skills section. Interests can also be used if they are relevant to your search. If you are an avid scuba diver and you're applying for a job with Scuba Diving Magazine, you should include this hobby on your resume under interests. Now, resumes are like opinions. Everybody's got one and not all of them are good. So think about resumes about them being a living, breathing document. You're never really done with your resume and it's always evolving. Now, before I move to LinkedIn, I want to show you an example of a good cover letter. Note in this example, I've used the same format, the same font, and the same font size. I've even included the same header and tagline that I did on the resume. Now, LinkedIn is a critical part of your job search, and you should put every bit of effort into creating a dynamic LinkedIn profile as you do your resume. You don't want to copy and paste your resume into LinkedIn. It's really an augmented snapshot of your accomplishments. Remember that 5-second rule? I would argue that in the fast-paced, heavy transactional digital world we live in, you really only have 3 seconds in LinkedIn. So this background picture is real important. It should represent your personal brand. If you're a content writer or an editor, maybe use a typewriter. If you're a great problem solver, use imagery that supports this, like a light bulb pendulum. You can be creative, but keep it professional. I'll show you a couple of examples in just a minute. Your profile picture should be a headshot, not a crop shot of you at your cousin's wedding. It needs to be clear and with the best lighting that you can produce. Now, these smartphones that we all have take amazing pictures. Just make sure we can see your friendly, smiling face with very little background, and above all else, make sure it's well lit. Now, in advertising, the headline is the most important part of the copy. You want to use all the characters LinkedIn gives you to convey your value. Don't forget to add in relevant keywords. One of my clients recently used machine learning and data science at Nike, solving problems across 170 million members and $5 billion in revenue. Now, I'm immediately intrigued and want to learn more. LinkedIn will use your most recent job title in this space as a default, so you want to make sure that you customize it. The connections and contact information is also something that you want to pay attention to. You want to make sure your contact information is up to date. If you originally created your LinkedIn profile and used a work email address that is no longer valid, no one will have the ability to get in touch with you. You also want to try to reach for 500 connections on LinkedIn. It's a magic number, and when you get to 500, the software will work for you by sending you relevant jobs and suggestions for people that you should connect with. I get a lot of questions about the About section and summary, so you don't want to overthink it. Rarely does anyone read it, but it's critical for a complete and powerful LinkedIn profile. Use it to embed keywords. Make sure you proofread it and have another set of eyes on it. I'll include more LinkedIn tips in the follow-up. Earlier, I mentioned that customized URL. It's found in the upper right-hand section of your LinkedIn profile. The most important part of any job search in your professional career is networking. Oh, sorry, here's a sample of those 2 background pictures that I thought you would enjoy. Now, the most important part of any job search in your professional career is networking. It's a life skill, and nobody really loves to do it. Even for a nerdy, extrovert like myself, I find it exhausting and debilitating at times. You will not see many results at all if you don't employ a networking strategy. Now, don't think of networking as transactional. For an example, if I reach out to you and you do me a favor and help me get a job, our time together is finished. It's not that linear. Instead, think of networking as an opportunity to exchange ideas and learn from one another. It's about relationship building, so you want to nurture your network at all times. Now, in the 8 years that I've worked for Wake Forest, I have never run into a Wake Forest alumnus who hasn't been extremely generous and helpful no matter what the ask. The trick is getting their attention, and the bigger part of it is to catch them when they have the time. The best, most effective way to do research and nurture your network is to do informational interviews. These are short events that are usually done over the phone where you interview a person and learn more about their job, how they got to that position, and gain more information about their firm. Studies have shown us that if you do 20 informational interviews, one of these encounters will lead to a job. My two favorite networking tools are LinkedIn and the Wake Network. I loved Megan's Wednesday webinar last week on how to network virtually. Watch Megan's webinar for a great tutorial on how to use these tools. But here's the punchline, guys. It's the moment you've all been waiting for. You just have to do it. You need to be consistent, be direct, be targeted, be respectful, and be gracious. Remember to thank people properly for their time. And finally, give back when you can and when you're asked. It's just the Wake Forest way. To recap, the 4 phases of creating a strategic job search are to create a plan, stay organized, and be accountable. Identify skill gaps, take inventory of your strengths and weaknesses, and now's the time to improve or learn new skills. Create a marketing plan that is consistent. Remember, your goal is to sell yourself. Finally, network your way to a job. Be direct, be direct and purposeful. It's really the secret sauce, the magic beans, and the silver bullet. I hope you've learned some new techniques and strategies today. If you have any questions, make sure you utilize the chat feature, and we will address them in a recap email. I'd really like to thank Allison and her extremely talented team again for asking me to be a part of the Wednesday webinars. I have personally learned a lot through this process. Now I'll hand it back over to Allison to finish this up.
Awesome. Thank you, Sharon. Like I said, you guys, chock full of information. So I hope you were taking notes. We will send out a recording of this, and we'll include some of the links and other things that Sharon mentioned. This slide is just some other ways that you can stay connected with us. So Beyond the Forest is our e-newsletter, and that's a great way to kind of get on the leading edge of other things like this. Just a little preview, Sharon talked about next week. Tiffany is going to be doing a webinar on remote work hacks, so working from home, how we can all do that a little more effectively. And in a couple of weeks, Patrick Sullivan from our office is going to build off of this webinar to talk more about kind of telling your story effectively and building your brand. So you can find all of that on our website. And then finally, for any non-Wake Forest people who are on this webinar, I would like to share that Sharon actually has a private coaching business, and she would be happy to connect with you on LinkedIn and tell you more about that, should that be of interest to you. So with that, thank you all for being here. We really appreciate your time and your attention and taking ownership of your career path in this way. And we look forward to seeing you in the future. Thanks so much.
Thank you.